The cub that should not live. The night the cub was born, the sky above the Varkon lands turned dark red. No one understood why. 2 moons hung in the sky, but their light felt weak. The wind was cold. The air felt heavy, like something bad was about to happen. Inside the stone arena of the pack, warriors stood in a large circle. Their silver armor reflected the red sky. No one spoke loudly. Only whispers moved through the crowd. In the center, a small cub lay beside his exhausted mother. He was breathing, but barely. At first, no one noticed anything strange. He looked small, weaker than other newborns. But then one of the elders stepped closer and froze. "There," the elder whispered. Under the cub's pale fur, thin blue lines began to glow. Not bright, not strong, but clear. The circle of warriors stepped back. The blue marks slowly spread across the cub's tiny body like veins of light. The mother pulled the cub close. "He is my son," she said softly. "There is nothing wrong with him." But everyone knew the old stories. The marked one, the cub born with blue fire under his skin, the cub who would bring change and destruction. High above the arena, on a raised black stone platform, stood Alpha Raxer. He was taller than all others. His armor was darker. His eyes were sharp and cold. He had led the Varkon pack through many wars. He feared nothing. But when he saw the blue marks, his jaw tightened. "The prophecy," one warrior whispered. Raxer slowly stepped down from his platform. Each step echoed in the silent arena. The cub made a small crying sound. It was not loud. It was not dangerous. It sounded like any other baby. Raxer stopped a few feet away from the mother. "How long?" he asked the elder. The elder bowed his head. The marks appeared moments after birth. The mother looked up at the Alpha. Fear filled her eyes, but she did not bow. "He is innocent," she said. Raxer's voice was calm. Too calm. Innocent things can still bring disaster. The crowd stayed silent. Everyone remembered the last time the prophecy was mentioned. An entire city had burned during that war. Many had died. Raxer looked at the cub again. The blue lines pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. He made his decision. "The cub will not live," he said. The words hit the arena like thunder. The mother screamed and tried to stand, but guards grabbed her arms. "No," she cried. "He is my child." Raxer did not look at her. "Take the cub," he ordered. 2 warriors stepped forward slowly. No one wanted to be the one who carried out the order, but no one disobeyed the Alpha. The cub's small body trembled, and then a voice came from the entrance of the arena. "Stop." The word was simple, but it was not Varkon. Every head turned. A human stood there. No armor, no claws, no glowing eyes. Just a tall man in simple earth clothes, boots covered in dust. His name was Daniel Hayes. He had lived among the Varkon for 3 years as part of a peace program between Earth and the Pack. Most warriors ignored him. Some respected him, but none feared him. Until now, Daniel walked forward slowly. The guards looked at Raxer for permission. Raxer gave no signal. "This is not your matter, human," Raxer said coldly. Daniel stopped near the circle. "It became my matter when you decided to kill a baby," Daniel replied calmly. Gasps spread to the arena. No one spoke to the Alpha like that. Raxer's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand what this cub is." Daniel looked down at the small creature. Their eyes met. The cub stopped crying. For a moment, everything felt quiet. "He looks scared," Daniel said softly. "Not dangerous." The blue lines under the cub's fur glowed slightly brighter. Raxer's claws extended from his fingers. "The marks mean war," he said. "They mean destruction." "Or maybe," Daniel replied carefully, "they mean something you fear." The air became tight. Heavy. One wrong word could end a human's life. The 2 warriors reached again for the cub. Daniel stepped inside the circle. He stood directly in front of the small creature. His heart was racing, but his voice stayed steady. "Touch him," Daniel said quietly, "and try—" Silence. Complete silence. The warriors froze. Raxer stared at the human. No human had ever challenged him openly. "You would die for him?" Raxer asked. Daniel did not look away. "He's just a cub." Raxer stepped closer. He was much taller, much stronger. You have no claws, the Alpha said. Daniel gave a small nod. No, he said, but I have a choice. The blue marks on the cub pulsed again, stronger this time. Some warriors shifted nervously. For a long moment, Raxer and Daniel stared at each other. The Alpha could kill him easily. One strike, one command. But something about the human's eyes made him pause. Finally, Raxer spoke. Very well, he said slowly. The human may take the cursed cub. The crowd gasped again. The mother cried in shock. But, Raxer continued, if the cub shows even one sign of threat to this pack, I will end both your lives. Daniel bent down carefully and picked up the cub. The small body was warm, weak, but alive. As soon as Daniel held him, the blue glow became steady. Not wild, not violent, just steady. High above the arena, beyond the red sky, a distant star flickered. No one noticed. Not yet, but something had changed. The cub that should not live was still breathing. And the human who stood alone against the Alpha had just started something far bigger than he understood. The night was not over. It was only the beginning. The glow in the dark. The pack did not sleep that night. Word spread fast across the Varkon lands. The cursed cub was alive, and he was with the human. Daniel's living unit stood at the far edge of the territory near the rocky cliffs. It was small, made of metal and glass, built by Earth engineers. Not strong like Varkon stone houses, not safe like their armor halls. Inside, Daniel sat on the floor with the cub wrapped in a thermal cloth. The cub was very quiet, too quiet. Outside, shadows moved. Warriors watched from a distance. They did not trust the human. They did not trust the cub. Inside the room, the lights suddenly flickered. Daniel looked up. The cub's blue markings were glowing again, but this time brighter. The air began to feel heavy. Daniel slowly reached out and touched the cub's head. It's okay, he whispered. The cub opened his eyes. They were not soft anymore. They were bright blue, almost shining. Suddenly, a low humming sound filled the room. The metal walls vibrated. The glass windows cracked slightly. Daniel stood up quickly. What is happening? He muttered. The cub lifted his small head, and the blue light spread across the room like soft waves. Outside, the warriors stepped back. They felt it too. The ground under their feet shook gently, not like an earthquake, like something breathing under the earth. Far away, in the Alpha's command hall, alarms began to ring. Raxer turned sharply. What is that vibration? He demanded. A guard ran inside. Alpha, the energy sensors are active. The source is near the human shelter. Raxer's eyes darkened. He knew this moment might come. He moved fast toward the edge of the territory. Back in the shelter, the blue glow grew stronger. Tools lifted off the table. Metal objects floated slowly in the air. Daniel stared in shock. The cub was not crying. He was calm, but the power around him was not calm. Suddenly, the cub gave a small, sharp sound. Not like a baby. It sounded like a signal. And then, everything stopped. The floating objects dropped to the floor. The humming sound ended. Silence. The cub collapsed into Daniel's arms, breathing fast. Daniel held him tightly. Outside, heavy footsteps approached. Raxer arrived with armed warriors. The door of the shelter opened with force. Raxer stepped inside. His eyes scanned the broken glass, the cracked walls, the fallen tools. He looked at Daniel, then at the cub. I warned you, Raxer said slowly. Daniel stood up, still holding the small body. He didn't attack anyone, Daniel replied firmly. He didn't hurt anyone, but he will... One warrior growled. Before Raxer could speak again, something louder interrupted them. A deep thunder rolled across the sky. All of them looked up, above the Varkon lands. The clouds began to move in a perfect circle. Wind started to spin, and from the center of the clouds, a beam of blue light shot down from space. It did not hit the camp. It hit the cliffs behind the shelter. The ground exploded in dust and fire. Warriors jumped back. Raxer's eyes widened. From the smoke, a massive object slowly rose. It was not Varkon. It was not human. It was a starship, black metal, sharp edges, blue energy lines glowing across its surface. The same blue as the Cub's markings. The sky grew darker as more ships appeared behind it. Silent, watching, scanning. A deep mechanical voice echoed from the largest ship. Signal confirmed. The warriors gripped their weapons. Daniel felt the Cub move weakly in his arms. The voice continued. Royal genetic frequency located. Raxer felt cold for the first time in many years. Royal? Impossible. The Cub's blue marks suddenly pulsed again, stronger than before. The starship lowered closer to the ground. A landing ramp opened slowly. Blue armored figures stepped out. Tall, powerful. Their armor shone like liquid metal. They did not raise weapons. They simply walked forward with perfect control. The leader removed his helmet. His eyes were glowing blue, exactly like the Cub's. He looked directly at Daniel. You carry what belongs to us, the leader said calmly. The warriors formed a defensive line in front of Raxer. This is Varkon territory, Raxer said coldly. The armored leader did not look at him. The air has awakened, he said. Air. The word hit the air like lightning. Daniel looked down at the small Cub. The Cub's breathing was weak, but steady. The leader stepped closer. Return him, he said. Daniel tightened his hold. The Varkon warriors raised their weapons. The blue armored soldiers powered up their energy blades. One wrong move, and war would begin. The wind howled around them. The clouds above spun faster. The Cub opened his glowing eyes once more, and softly, he reached out one small paw toward Daniel's chest. The blue light spread gently around them. The armored leader stopped moving. His expression changed. He spoke slowly. The air has made contact. Silence. Raxer looked between the human and the Cub. The prophecy was not about destruction. It was about arrival. And now the question was not whether the Cub should live. The question was, would the Alpha allow a human to stand between him and destiny? The storm above roared louder, and the galaxy was watching. The air who chose a human. The wind screamed across the cliffs. Two armies stood facing each other. On one side, the Varkon warriors, claws ready, eyes burning with pride. On the other, the blue-armored soldiers in the sky, silent and deadly. Between them stood one human. Daniel held the Cub close to his chest. The Cub's small paw was still touching him. The blue light around them grew brighter. The leader of the Star Soldiers lowered his weapon slowly. It is done, he said. Raxer growled. Nothing is done. The leader finally looked at the Alpha. The air has chosen his protector. The words hit harder than any weapon. Varkon warriors shifted uncomfortably. Chosen? The prophecy never said anything about choosing. Daniel looked confused. I didn't choose anything. The leader's glowing eyes focused on him. You stood when others would kneel. You protected him when others feared him. That is why the bond has formed. The Cub made a soft sound. The blue marks on his body began to move, not like veins anymore, but like living energy. Suddenly, the ground cracked. A shock wave pushed both armies back. Not violent, but powerful. Daniel almost fell, but the blue light held him steady. Raxer felt it too. It was not a threat. It was control. The leader of the Star Soldiers stepped forward again. The child is not a weapon, he said. He is the last blood of the Star Dominion. A murmur spread across the Varkon. Years ago, the Star Dominion had vanished after a great war. Many believed they were destroyed. You hide him here? Raxer demanded. Yes, the leader answered calmly. Your world was far from our enemies. We erased all records. Even we could not track him until tonight. Raxer's eyes moved to the Cub. The small creature was not shaking anymore. He looked peaceful in Daniel's arms. Daniel swallowed. So what happens now? The leader did not answer immediately. Instead, he knelt, a commander of a galactic army, kneeling in front of a human. The Varkon warriors gasped. We request the heir's return, the leader said respectfully. And we request you. Me? Daniel asked. The bond cannot be broken, the leader explained. The heir's energy responds to you. Without you, his power will remain unstable. The Varkon warriors tense again. They would not allow a human to just leave with alien soldiers. Raxer stepped forward. If he leaves, Raxer said slowly, what becomes of my people? If this is truly the heir, others will come. The leader looked at the Alpha directly. They already are. As if called by his words, the sky flashed again. Far beyond the clouds, dark shapes appeared. Not blue, red, warships. Many of them, enemies. The real threat had arrived. The Varkon warriors looked up in fear. Raxer understood immediately. The prophecy was never about the cub destroying them. It was about the war following him. The enemy ships began charging weapons. Energy gathered in red circles. Daniel felt the cub's body grow warmer. The blue mark shined like a star. The cub looked up at Daniel, not like a baby, but like someone who understood. The small paw pressed harder against Daniel's chest. And then, a wave of pure blue light exploded into the sky. Not a beam, not an attack. A shield, a massive dome of glowing blue energy covered the entire Varkon territory. The first red blast from the enemy fleet hit the shield and shattered like glass. Silence filled the battlefield. Even the enemy ships stopped firing. Inside the dome, everything felt calm, protected. Raxer stared at the sky. The cub had not attacked. He had defended. The leader of the Star Dominion smiled slightly. The heir protects his home. Daniel slowly realized the truth. The cub did not see Earth as home. He did not see the Star Dominion as home. He had chosen this place. These people, even the ones who feared him. The enemy fleet tried again. More blasts. Stronger. But the shield held. The cub's breathing grew heavy. Daniel felt the small body weaken. He can't hold this forever, Daniel said urgently. The leader nodded. Then we end it. Blue warships rose from behind the cliffs. Hidden defense ships that had been waiting for the signal. They shot upward like arrows. The battle in the sky lasted only minutes. Bright flashes, explosions, then silence. The red ships retreated into deep space. The shield slowly faded. The cub collapsed in Daniel's arms, exhausted but alive. The wind became soft again. The storm clouds disappeared. For the first time since his birth, the sky looked peaceful. Raxer walked toward Daniel slowly. The Alpha stopped in front of him. The strongest warrior of the Varkon lowered his head. I was wrong, he said. No one had ever heard those words from him before. Daniel looked tired but calm. He's not a curse, Daniel said softly. Raxer looked at the cub. No, the Alpha admitted. He is our protector. The leader of the Star Dominion stood tall. The heir may remain, he said. For now, this world is under our protection. The Varkon warriors slowly lowered their weapons. Fear turned into respect. Daniel looked down at the cub one last time. The blue marks glowed gently. Not wild, not dangerous. Just steady, strong. The cub that should not live had saved them all, and the human who said, touch him and try, had changed the fate of two worlds. Far above, the stars shined quietly. The galaxy had learned something important that day. Never threaten what a human chooses to protect. And never underestimate a cub who chooses his own destiny.